Most agents think that the reason why they're not where they want to be with their business is because of lack of training, tools, systems, and resources. But I'm here to let you in on a little secret. That's not actually the main reason. Today I've got on my business partner Connor, who is without question one of the top mindset coaches in real estate, where we're going to talk about a lot of the stuff that we actually share privately with our group on a weekly basis about the reality of overcoming fear, breaking through plateaus, and how to take your business to the next level. To give you some context as to what this has done for me, I aligned with Connor just over a year ago, and since then I have exactly 10x to my monthly income. Not just me though, there's multiple agents in our group who are doubling, tripling, quadrupling their business within 1 year after working with us on this very subject. So what I want you to do is come into this with an open mind and really reflect about what we're going to talk about today, because again, yes, the training tools, systems, and resources do make a difference in your business, but the biggest hurdle is actually much deeper than that. And that's what we're going to get into today, is helping you with the right mindset to actually break through those plateaus, the self-sabotaging behaviors, and execute on a level that resonates higher than you've ever been. So without further ado, let's bring on Connor and talk not just about why agents are struggling, failing, and plateauing, but how you can actually overcome it so you can break through all of those barriers and start smashing your goals every single year. What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video. And today is one of my favorite topics. This is something that, to be quite honest, Connor and I, as you can see, we're in the similar hats here. We talk a lot about this specific subject on one of our 4 weekly mastermind calls. Now, if you follow my channel, you would have seen the video from Shay Hillenbrand, which is a great example of some of the depth that we go into with our group to help people get outside of limiting beliefs, handling objections. But today's topic is about fear and the primary reasons why we see real estate agents failing or coming to us to join our group in order to see if we can help them get from where they are today to where they want to go. And what Connor is about to share with you is it's not what most people think. A lot of people really think that it's because they don't have the right tools, don't have the right systems, aren't at the right brokerage, they don't have the right strategies. And yes, while that could be a component of it, what we're going to get into today is the reality of why most are actually struggling. So Connor, welcome, man. Welcome back to the channel. Stoked to have you on here as always. Let's get into it.
What's up, dog? What's going on, man? I'm going to turn my hat around, guys. Not to disrespect anybody, just so you guys can see me. So what's going on, Mike? How can I help?
Yeah, I'm excited, man, because again, we have a lot of people that come to us and, to be completely honest, their business is not where they want to be, but they have incredible potential. Like you and I both talk to people that we see the drive, the ambition, the, future pacing of these big, lofty, hairy, audacious goals. They know what it, where they want to go. They've got the training tools, our social agent academy, our mastermind calls. They've got everything they need in order to succeed, but they're not. And as we've started to dive into some of these mastermind calls, we've started to help a lot of people get over those fears. But I'd love for you to talk about why a lot of agents truly are struggling. And it's really what a lot of, or most of them, don't really want to come to grips with.
I mean, it's not even agents. It's not even just entrepreneurs. It's the whole world, right? So what's the root of all evil? If you think about it, guys, what causes more problems than anything on this planet, in my opinion? It's ignorance, right? So ignorance creates all problems, because if you don't understand something or you don't know something, how can you make a confident decision or take a risk on doing something, right? So if you guys, spend a bunch of money on a marketing campaign and you get a deal, what happens when you try to spend more money on that deal? Fear picks up. Spend money mailing that same mailing list, fear picks up, and it causes you not to pull that trigger because the fear barrier is too high, because you're fearful that you may lose that money again. So here's the difference. So you have ignorance, and then you have not being ignorant, which is knowledge, right? So let's give a little quick example right here. So imagine Mike standing at the top of a cliff. He's looking over that cliff, and there's an ocean beneath him or a lake. And he's thinking, should he jump off and have fun today? Or he's also thinking, if I jump off, is this my last day, right? Because there may be rocks underneath that water. So he's thinking in his mind, conscious thoughts, should I jump or should I not, right? Now, if he doesn't know if there's rocks underneath that water, he's not going to jump, because he's ignorant on not having the knowledge of what's underneath the water. But if there's a bunch of people jumping off before him, having a good old time, and they've been doing that for 100 years, and it's a known hangout spot, he's going to have no fear because he has the knowledge that there's no rocks underneath the water. So therefore he's going to jump off. So the difference of the polar opposite of these two things is ignorance and knowledge. Now let's kind of dig a little bit deeper here. So when you're ignorant on something, it's because you don't have the knowledge of something. You're fearful, right? So, hey, will this work out if I talk to this person about a business opportunity? I don't know if it will. So the fear creates what? Anxiety, or the doubt and worry thoughts create fear, which leads to anxiety, which leads to procrastination. And also when you're feeling anxiety, what does this do in your life, guys? So as the fear picks up, as you guys know, you feel that feeling in your body. It's a frequency you vibrate. It's called anxiety. So if you have anxiety, does this make you feel like the best you? Does this make you feel like you want to go out there and conquer the world and be the most, how do I say this? The most energy, the most self-esteem, or does it make you want to suppress your energy levels? Do you want to regress and pull down? So when people are feeling frustrated and fearful and having anxiety, they suppress their emotions, right? If you suppress long enough, you go into depression, which leads to your body breakdown, diseases start to come up, and this is where you get ulcers and all sorts of different physical ailments. You're starting to get lockups in your body, you're getting joint pains. This is all coming from incorrect thinking, right? So on the other side, some of you guys have probably gone down this and studied this, the power of the conscious unconscious mind body connection. So what's on the other side? On the other side, you have knowledge, right? Which leads to understanding, which leads to what? The opposite of fear. What do you guys think the opposite of fear is? It's faith. So fear and faith are both things that we cannot see. So some of you guys probably follow Bob Proctor and some of the thought leaders that came before us. This is a big belief of what they teach out there. And once you understand this, you can control your thoughts. When you control your thoughts, you control the future person that you're going to be. So when you have faith that what you're going to do is going to work out, when the heat gets hot, you push through the fire instead of backing off and retracting. So the faith leads to well-being, and the well-being in your body as compared to anxiety, what do you think does? Do you suppress or do you express? Do you feel your best you? Do you go out there when you guys close a deal? Do you speak with more confidence in your voice, more energy in your voice, or do you suppress on the other side? So when you guys are out there and you understand what you're doing, which comes from knowledge and studying, and then you have the faith that things are going to work out, procrastination drops, right? And then you see acceleration in your business, and you see the creation of the future that you want. Now, one of the things I think, Mike, that entrepreneurs struggle with is self-esteem. And self-esteem builds a business, guys. So you guys have all those books out there, all these people that probably never built a business but wrote a book. And they're talking about take action, right? Go take action here, take action there. That's easy to say when you go take action, you try to pick up the phone, call a client, and somehow that phone weighs 1,000,000 pounds. Why can't you pick up that phone? You want to, but you can't. Before action has to come energy, right? Energy leads to action. But what leads to energy? It's a combination of two things, right? The first one is the belief in what you're doing. So if you're selling a widget, or whatever it is, you're selling insurance, you're selling houses, you're recruiting agents, you have to have a belief in what you're doing, the product or service that you're selling, that you have a belief in it, right? Because if you don't, you're not convicted in what you're selling, you'll never sell it, and you'll never go out there and present it as with a belief behind it, and people won't buy what you're selling, if that makes sense. Now, here's the problem. It doesn't matter how much you believe in what you're doing or what you're doing as far as a business if you don't believe in yourself. You could have the best business model, the best product in the world, but if things get tough and you don't believe in yourself to get up and push through those hard times, you're never going to do it. So self-esteem is the root of all businesses, because if you don't have self-esteem and you don't believe in what you're doing, those two go hand in hand to create energy, which creates the action, which creates the results and the lifestyle that you want down the road. But if you don't have the belief in yourself, guys, when things get tough, I don't care what you're doing, you're going to back off and you're going to quit. And you're going to quit the next thing you're going to quit right before you quit the next thing that you're about to quit. Now, why do people quit, Mike? It's entitlement. So entitlement is what causes people to quit anything, because if you guys are sitting in a frustrating part in your business, why are you really frustrated when you think about it? It's because the story that you created in your mind of what you put in as far as energy, effort, and resources and risk so far, you believe that you should have more for it. Not because the world said you deserve it, but because you said, I'm so great to this world that somehow just because I'm me, I deserve to be farther along than I am. You're not, because the world hasn't given it to you yet. So it's the entitlement that you put in a big effort, you've taken a big sacrifice, and you're not where you think you should be. You think you should be farther along. That creates the frustration. You're saying the price I paid so far is really high. I should have more for it. But that's not how the world works, guys, especially in business where you don't work for time, you work for value. You don't get paid for time in business. You get paid for value to the marketplace and what you create as far as opportunities and solving problems out there. So these are just some of the things that I see a lot with young entrepreneurs getting into the business. It's the entitlement, things that are not going faster, the lack of belief in themselves or what they're doing. And then just not understanding that they control their future by the thoughts they think today. So the thoughts you guys have in your mind consistently that you focus on, and you hold the vision of a future followed up by consistent energy for a long enough period of time, that future destination shows up as the person you want to be. And we call that being successful. And that's what we help our agents try to figure out, to get those negative thoughts out of their mind, shift to the positive spectrum so they have enough energy from external motivation to go out there and get a win. And once they have a win, they believe they can do it. Now they have the internal motivation to go out there and get another win and another win. And that creates a winning streak, and that creates momentum, and that creates a person that's going to be successful in business. And that's our goal for all our partners.
Yeah, I think it's, the quote that really resonates with me is that we don't get paid for time, we get paid for value. Because I will be the first to admit that I had that backwards for so many years, where I thought because I was putting in 16, 18, 20-hour days every single day of the week that why am I not wealthy, why am I not rich, what's going on here, like when is my time coming? And I started realizing that I was putting in the time, but I wasn't creating enough value for enough people to actually have the value elevate to the point where I thought my income should be. And something that I love to talk about is the fact that yes, we've taken these principles and we've had a lot of people, and I think, not just things like you alluded to, Connor, with cold calling, but a lot of people that are using our own strategies like social media, right? A lot of people are fearful to get in front of the camera, right? And they, have these fears that they don't look good or that people are going to judge them. And again, all these limiting beliefs. But I know that you've also kind of shared a couple strategies with people within our group of how they can get out of that in terms of, working out before you go cold call, before you go door knock, before you go things. So what would be a bit of your advice to actually help combat some of these fears, to help raise that energy level and kind of get people into the mindset of, okay, this is a task that I'm previously fearful of. I'm going to bite the bullet on the head and I'm going to go straight for it.
Yeah, so you have personal initiative and motivation on your own. So you either have internal or external motivation. So why does the Tony Robbins guys get paid like, I don't even know now, probably like $20 million for 30 seconds? I'm just kidding. But the point is, you pay someone $100,000 for an hour speech to speak in front of 20,000 people to create external motivation, right? So anybody can externally motivate you for a month or two. We're just talking about that. This gets people off the bench, puts the helmet back on, they go back out there, and hopefully the goal is that they get a couple wins to get back to personal internal motivation. But if you can't do this, guys, on your own because you haven't matured enough into the business, in your business, or the entrepreneur that you are, which comes over time, it's called business maturity. You'll figure these things out if you stay consistent long enough. There's a couple ways to shift your state. Now, one of the easiest ones that for most people is music. This is a good one because if your guys are in a bad mood, or let's say you're in a good mood, and let's say you're trying to shift your state from one or the other, think about the music that you're playing yourself. So if you're trying to get out of a negative mindset, do you want to play death metal rock music, or do you want to, or if you're trying to focus on something, or do you want to play that type of music, or do you want to play like serenity music or calm music? So music, what is this, guys? It's a frequency. And so if you understand the law of vibration, which means everything moves and nothing stops moving, like this wall behind me, you guys think it's solid. It's not. It's moving. I'm moving. So you understand this because if you pass away, what happens to your body? It disintegrates. It turns into dust. So even after you've passed away, your body's still moving. So everything moves, right? So the only way that happens is off a frequency. So we're on different frequencies all the time. So if you can shift the frequency of the music coming in, it can shift the state inside your body. Now, another thing you guys can do is you can revisit visions, pictures in your mind of past experiences that were positive for you. So if you guys are in a really bad funk and things are going bad, why don't you slow down and try to visualize in your mind periods of your life that were the best periods of your life? Maybe when you had your first kid, maybe when you had your first big win in business, maybe when you had a moment of confidence and self-esteem. Because what you guys need to understand is your unconscious mind can't decide between what's being told to it. And so if you shift your state, you could be in the worst day ever, but if you believe that you're having the best day ever, you can feel that best day ever in your body. And that's what this is about. It's what we feel in our body, because that's how we feel. And that's what dictates what happens in the physical environment around us. Now, another thing that people can do, and this is one I talk about a lot, is how do you get past the small fear? You create a bigger fear that you're more terrified from, right? So if you're running this direction there, because there's a, like a big dog behind you, and you start running this way, and all of a sudden there's a lion coming, you're going to turn around and run this way, and all of a sudden there's a tiger and then a grizzly bear, you're going to run from the biggest fear fastest. I assure you that. So one of the things that you guys can do is think of a fear shift to a bigger fear that's going to motivate you to get past your smaller fear. So let's say you're sitting there and you don't want to call a client, or you don't want to call an agent, or you don't want to hop on and do a video. Well, that's a fear, right? Fear is holding you back. But what about the fear of letting your kids down and having your kids resent you because you promised them a better life, or your spouse, that you would give them everything that you promised and you're falling short? Wouldn't that be a bigger fear? So when you have a bigger fear, it shifts you past a smaller fear, and it's going to motivate you. So some of you guys know this is calling your why. Most of you guys have your why as your family. So you need a bigger why. And it's not just to go get a bunch of materialistic stuff, because if you don't have a big goal long term, family, other people you take care of, a community, when things get tough, you're going to back down. So some of the things you guys can do when big our fears come up is try to find a bigger fear that's going to motivate you past that smaller fear, and it's going to help you get through that moment. Is what I've seen a lot of people been able to do.
Yeah, definitely. And I even relate to a couple of things you said there back when I was door knocking and when I started getting on video, right? When I was door knocking, I used to listen to the same motivational song every single time before I went out door knocking. Every single time I would listen to the exact same song. It would get me fired up. It would get me inspired. It had lyrics that resonated with me. It was literally called Keep Pushing. And I was in a mindset of, okay, I'm going to go do this. But on top of that, I also did what you talked about, which is, switching the fear, which is the fact that, I had a lot of people counting me out when I first got into real estate. I had a lot of people saying I couldn't do it. I had a big why in terms of eventually providing for my family. So, whenever I was door knocking, when I was starting into video work or anything that I've done that's been really difficult, I started with the song. I would always think about proving people wrong and not wanting to succumb to what they thought I was going to do. And then I would finish by thinking, well, I need to go do this because I've got a bigger vision and these are the people that I'm actually doing this for. Right. So it was a multi-tiered thing, and that really helped. And it's helped a lot of people in our group get outside of their own heads.
Yeah, yeah, music's a quick way to shift the state. So look at like fighters and UFC fighters and athletes. What are they doing before they go on the field? You see them with their headbuds in, jamming off this, because they're building up, the excitement. They're building up, getting past that fear, because they're about to walk out there and fight in front of 50,000 people or something, or really millions if you think of pay-per-view. So this is what they're doing. They're shifting their state, and they're bringing their vibration up, so they can go on and take on the task that they're about to take on, because sometimes we're not in an emotional state ready to take on what we're fighting. But if you guys have a big event and you're going to speak in front of 1,000 people, or you're sitting down with a big client, you have to figure out how to shift your state, because business is not about timing, meaning your timing. It's about timing of how the world plays out. So you could be in the worst meltdown of your life. You could get a bad health diagnosis call right before literally you're sitting down with the biggest appointment of your life. So if you cannot stop your emotions right now in their tracks, shift them to the moment that, or to the emotions that you need to be able to capitalize on the opportunity that you have, you're going to struggle in business. Then what's going to happen is you're going to fail at that situation. You're going to step back. It's going to brutalize your self-esteem. You're going to start thinking, man, I can't do this. And you're going to start the negative spiral down of the compounding negative thoughts in your mind. And then someone has to come and pull you out of that, unless you can pull yourself out of it. So this is a big deal for entrepreneurs. If you guys can't control your thoughts, you can't build a business. So a lot of people think business is about skill sets or talent. This is a pressure test. This is a persistency test, a consistency test, more than a talent test. I've seen people that have no education, really no talent at anything. They're multimillionaires. They're my friends. And the way they did it is they showed up every day, no matter what was going on in their life. And they didn't make excuses, and they paid the price over time and didn't let go of their goals. Where you see the most talented people in the world have one little thing go wrong, and the whole day's, oh my gosh, how dare this person cut me off on the highway? My wife said this, my kids, oh my gosh, the dog barks. And they're talented more than any talent than other people could ever be given from a blessing at birth, but they blow it because their thoughts are incorrect. And they just turn into a person that will never manifest anything because they can't think correctly.
Yeah. And I think one of the biggest things that's definitely helped me over the last couple of years has been my ability to quickly shift my state based on negative things happening. And I think a lot of agents struggle with the fact that, okay, I put out this video and it got 17 views. It must be something wrong with me. And then they're down in the gutter. Or, oh, I lost this listing presentation and now they're down in the dumps for 2 weeks. Or, oh, I had this deal that was conditional and then they backed out last minute. I'm not getting paid anymore. And then they fall into, this downward spiral. And a lot of people really, really struggle with not being able to get out of a rut quickly. And I think, I've even had, girlfriends tell me that I'm like a stone, like I've got no emotion, because I'll tell them bad things just happened to me. Like, oh, I lost a client, I lost a deal, I lost an agent, I lost a business opportunity, I lost this. And I'm like, okay, next one. Like, it's like, I've trained myself now to think that, okay, if I lost that listing presentation, great. Now that frees me up more time. They might have been a terrible client anyway. Now I have more time to go get two more. Oh, I lost that agent. They decided to go to a different group. Great. Probably won't succeed anyway. Let's go get two more better people. Like, you start thinking about, in a more positive way, what can happen if you reframe what that situation does to your business. Oh, I just lost, so now I'm in the gutter. Oh, I just saved time. Now I've got an opportunity. And I think that paradigm shift is something that people really, really struggle with.
Yeah, I mean, we call it bounce back time. So it's not if, but when bad things happen in business. And really, to be honest, bad things happen way more than good things, just to be honest. And I've been in business a long time. So when you get knocked down, how fast do you bounce back up? Is it a second? Is it a minute? Is it an hour? Is it a day? Is it a week? Is it a month? Some people, it's never, right? So how fast do you bounce back up when the same negative thing happened to you that happens to competition? So if Mike and I both lose a 10K deal, whoever bounces back faster grows a faster business, because I have less time wasted before I get back on the treadmill, creating progression. So guys, progression and progress creates happiness as you're moving forward. Regression and going backwards creates depression and anxiety. So one of the things that you guys need to understand is the reason why one of the big reasons you set goals is, when you set goals, you set a goal for how to change the past, or you set a goal how to change your life in the future. So goal setting keeps you future pacing, keeps you thinking of the future. And remember, your thoughts create your future. Now, if you're thinking of the future all the time, you can change this, right? So you have optimism, you have hope, you have faith, you have the belief that you can have a better future, which is why you put the sacrifice in today. But if you're stuck in the past, it's a very dangerous trap, because there's two things that create problems for you guys. Number one, you had a big success in the past that you're still living in, because it's the only glory moment of your life, and you still got the free, the college jersey on, you got your college football team jersey on. It's like, dude, you're 61, man. You got a life ahead of you, man. Get over it. Let's move forward. Or you're living in past experiences that were horrible for you, and you can't stop dwelling on them, and you can't change them. So the point is, you can't change the past, positive or negative. So stop living in the past on your wins, because it doesn't make any difference of what you're doing now. So you see this with agents that have been in the business for 25 years, and that's what they talk about. Why do they talk about they've been in the business for 25 years and not what they did as far as production or business income that year? Because they're laying on a statistic that makes them feel good about not doing what they know they should be doing after 25 years, if that makes sense. They should be talking about their income, not their years in the business. So you can't change the past, guys. Don't live in a past victory, and don't definitely don't go back and live in a past loss, because you'll get stuck there, and some of you guys never come out. And so the goal is to shift your mind back into the positive spectrum. You choose the thoughts that you think, guys. And if you think positively, I know this is cliche and annoying for people, because they hear this all the time, but they don't apply it. So it's not about understanding something as far as knowing words and saying, hey, I can understand this. It's about the application of knowledge and wisdom that you have. So if you just learn things, guys, and you have it in your mind, you have it in your mind. You don't really understand it. Once you apply it in the marketplace, or can teach it off the chest and not have to look at notes, then you understand something. Now you actually have that, and that's with you forever. So these are just some of the things people struggle with, is they dwell in the past, they don't think about the future, and they're constantly living in regression, not progression. And then they can't figure out why they're not having more success, and why they don't have better relationships, and why they don't feel better about themselves and their own body.
Yeah, you see that all the time. And, agents saying that I've got 20 years experience, but they're still coming to you because they're saying, oh, I've got 20 years in the business, but I'm still only doing 10 deals a year. And, this is a big, change. And this is actually good advice to any new agents that are going up against listing presentations on more experienced agents. Is just because you have 20, years of experience doesn't mean you've doubled your business or improved your business every year for 20 years, right? A lot of times they made, a couple of years with leaps and bounds, then they plateaued for years. So guys, at the end of the day, I hope you got value from this, because this is a lot of stuff that we could go on for ages about. And that's what we do on our weekly calls, 4 weekly mastermind calls every single week with our group. And on Tuesdays, it's about this specific stuff: mindset, personal development, business growth, and the stuff to help you get outside of your own head. And again, my income 10 or 11x over the last year. And a lot of it has to do with this stuff and being in alignment with Connor. So If you guys want to know more information about this type of stuff, if you want us to sit down with you and talk about how we can help you, face some of the fears that you're dealing with, again, just click the link that's in the pinned comment below and in the bar below this. So Connor, thanks so much, man. I appreciate it. As always, guys, hope to hear from some of you. Please make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and we will see you next time.
Peace.